through. Despite the pre-analysis stating 25 chapters, the content does not strictly follow the OCT's chapter progression. The primary goal of this task is to fix the adapted content to make the plot more reasonable, smooth, and accurate, while ensuring the completeness of all numbered sections and their contents. Since the instruction asks to fix the adapted content based on the report, the most critical fix is to realign the AET chapters to match the narrative flow and structure of the OCT chapters 1 to 12. Integrating the content from the disparate AET sections logically according to the OCT's original structure ensures the final output presents a clean sequential set of chapters that correspond to the source material. Even if this requires consolidating content spread across the source AET's confusing numbering, I will reconstruct the EET based strictly on the OCT's 12-chapter sequence using the content provided in the ET sections, correcting minor textual flow issues noted in the report, and ensuring all required character/location mappings are applied consistently. Reconstruction plan. Map the narrative flow of OCT chapters 1 to 12 to the corresponding content found across the provided EET sections, which are confusingly numbered. Apply minor smoothing/flow improvements as noted in the QA report, e.g., the wedding style toast phrasing. Ensure all final sections are numbered sequentially from 2 to match the OCT structure, as this is the most reasonable way to present a corrected flowing adaptation of the source text. Reconstructed and smoothed American English adaptation matching OCT chapter flow 1 to 2, Part 1 reconstructed and smooth adaptation. Chase Miller's eyes were bloodshot, staring intensely at Dana Miller, who was sharing a wedding-style toast with her male bestie. He dialed the number of his contact in the county records office. I've decided to cancel Dana's registration. 3 months ago, Dana had supposedly vanished in a skiing accident in the Cascades. Chase, her husband, had searched relentlessly for her, barely eating or drinking for the entire 3 months. He'd lost a significant amount of weight and aged considerably. After his 10th near-fainting spell from sheer exhaustion, his friend had dragged him to a bar to unwind, never expecting him to see Dana there. "You're not looking anymore?" The friend on the phone sounded hesitant. Chase glanced at Dana, now dressed provocatively, laughing loudly while leaning on her bestie's shoulder. "Your advice was a lifesaver. I almost forgot what freedom felt like." Dana was giggling with her girlfriends. When one asked when she planned to reappear, she shrugged carelessly. "Maybe in a week, once Chase has completely lost his mind looking for her." Her dismissive attitude made Chase's 3 months of desperate searching look like a pathetic joke. Chase suppressed his boiling rage and spoke heavily into the phone. "She's gone for good. What was the point of finding someone who was determined to hide from you?" After hanging up, Chase turned and returned to the private booth. Alex Reed, his childhood friend, saw his ashen face and jumped up as if he'd seen a ghost. He quickly shoved a drink into Chase's hand. "Chase, Dana's been missing for 3 months. The chances of finding her alive are slim. You need to let go and move on." Chase looked down at the high-proof whiskey in his glass and downed it in one gulp. The burning liquor ran down his throat, instantly bringing tears to his eyes. He forced down the churning agony inside and asked Alex, "Does anyone really fake their disappearance to trick their husband?" Alex looked at him with exasperation. "Did the search drive you crazy? What kind of nonsense is that? Anyone who could do that isn't human. They might as well be dead. They say onlookers see clearly." Alex's words struck Chase like a lightning bolt, instantly clearing the fog in his mind. He raised a hand, wiped his tears, grabbed his jacket off the sofa, and said, "You're right. I need to let go of Dana." With that, he left the bar without looking back and went home. The house was deathly silent. For the past 3 months, he dreaded this silence. Every time he came home, he'd turn on every light, brew a pot of Dana's favorite coffee, and set out her favorite fruit, trying to create the illusion that she was still there. It was as if only this could dispel the fear born from her absence deep in his soul. The only way he could find the courage to keep existing without Dana. He had loved Dana completely, utterly, but he couldn't fathom why, if she wanted out, she couldn't just file for divorce openly. Didn't she realize how agonizing this was for him? These 3 months had felt like his lifeblood had been boiled away, leaving a constant gravel-like ache in his chest. Chase collapsed onto the sofa, clutching his chest with both hands, as if that could ease the piercing pain. After an unknown amount of time, the sharp, stabbing pain finally subsided, and he felt a flicker of returning to the living. At that moment, Chase's gaze fell on a coffee table where he saw the stylized vinyl figures of him and Dana. Back then, Dana had leaned into his chest, pointed at the two little figures, and laughed. "When I'm not around, let these guys keep you company." But now, Dana's voice from the bar, annoyed and disgusted, kept echoing in his ears. Chase was okay at first, but he changed after we got married. He won't let me drink. Won't let me eat this. Won't let me eat that. He micromanages everything. It's exhausting. This fake death thing will teach him a lesson, so he stops nitpicking every day. Liam Taylor, pouring her a drink, had Edgar on. "I'm more reliable, right? We've been besties for years. I always bend over backward to humor you." Dana giggled and melted into Liam's embrace, her eyes alluring. Right. You're the best. What else would you be but my best male bestie?" Under the guise of friendship, their words were intimate, their legs intertwined tightly. The more Chase thought about it, the more disgusted he became. Without hesitation, he grabbed the figures and hurled them into the trash. Then, seemingly having made a resolution, he picked up his phone and started mass texting. Dana passed away unexpectedly 3 months ago. Memorial service will be held in 1 week. As soon as the message was sent, Dana's girlfriends flooded him with questions. You can't hold a memorial service when her body hasn't even been found. Chase, have you lost your mind? What if Dana is still alive? Dana will be furious when she comes back and sees her own memorial. Chase, think this through. Do you really want to piss her off? Chase coldly scanned the messages. The senders were the same ones at the bar who had encouraged Dana and Liam to share a toast, knowing full well how frantic he was. He fought the urge to block them all and replied only to the last message. She's dead. What's there to be angry about? After sending it, he silenced his phone, tossed it aside, and turned to pack up the things Dana had left at home. He'd spent most of the last 3 months searching for her in the city where she supposedly went skiing, rarely coming home. In the bedroom, most of the furnishings were unchanged, but when he opened the closet, Chase froze. More than half of Dana's clothes were gone, and only off-season items remained. Chase understood instantly. His dry eyes welled up again, and he let out a self-mocking laugh. For 3 months, he had been near collapse in the Cascades, while Dana had sneaked home multiple times to take her belongings. Chase took a deep breath, suppressing the dull ache in his chest, and opened the home surveillance system, pulling up the last month's recording. But just as he was about to hit play, he hesitated, clasping his hands together so tightly that bruises formed on the back of them. He coached himself repeatedly that they were going to separate anyway. What difference would it make if he saw something? Finally, he clicked on the recording, and his blood instantly ran cold. At the beginning of the month, Dana walked in arm with Liam. 2 hours later, the two of them left together, loaded with shopping bags. Mid-month, Liam brought Dana back, draping an arm around her, and didn't leave until early the next morning. The night before last, the two came home and left the next morning. During all this time, he had been desperately searching for Dana in the neighboring city, Seattle. While he lost sleep worrying about her safety, she had been spending the night in their home with her male best friend. Chase mechanically walked to the bed and searched meticulously. He finally found a strand of short yellow hair under the pillow, hair that didn't belong to him. On the nightstand, there was even unswept ash from a cigarette, and he didn't smoke. The answer to who left the hair and the ash was obvious. The thought that they might have been intimate in this bed finally broke his control over his tears. He wasn't crying for Dana, but for himself, for pouring everything into someone so repulsive. It wasn't worth it. Chase clenched his fists, fighting to maintain control. Just then, his phone rang from the living room. He didn't move, just sat there blankly, his gaze vacant as he stared at the surveillance footage. The ringtone kept blaring. The person on the other end was clearly determined not to give up. Chase finally snapped back to reality, took a deep breath, and walked into the living room. Seeing the caller ID, he paused, then quickly answered, "Aunt Evelyn Vance, what can I do for you?" "Dana isn't dead." As soon as the words left his mouth, Evelyn Vance sent him a video. Chase opened it and saw Dana and Liam sharing a toast, their eyes intensely intimate. Chase felt his breath catch, his fingers trembling uncontrollably, his voice wavering as he spoke. "I know." Evelyn on the other end sounded surprised, then let out a burst of laughter. "So, you're still holding a memorial service for her?" "Everyone told me she was dead, and I believed it. So, I felt the service was appropriate." Evelyn was silent for a moment before asking, "Are you officially a widower?" Chase softly said, Evelyn was Dana's adoptive aunt, though she was actually a year younger than Dana. Chase hadn't had much interaction with her, but she was the first person to tell him Dana was alive, so Chase was grateful for her consideration. "And Evelyn, if you're free, please come to the service in 7 days." "No problem. I'll be there." Right after, Evelyn sent him another video. In a clip, someone next to Dana showed her something on a phone. Her face instantly changed drastically, and she slammed the glass she was holding. Liam, beside her, jumped and quickly placed a hand on her shoulder, seemingly murmuring words of comfort. In the next second, Chase clearly saw Dana's expression soften considerably. She even buried her face in Liam's chest. Chase guessed Dana must have seen his mass text, which caused her outburst. However, he never imagined that Liam's simple words could calm her down so quickly. He remembered that when Dana used to get angry with him, he'd always have to spend the entire night reflecting on his mistakes before she would grudgingly forgive him. Sometimes when she was being willful, she'd make him kneel on a keyboard or a block of durian fruit. Although Chase was reluctant, he always spoiled her because he feared upsetting her delicate health and because he viewed it as a little game between them. It wasn't until this moment that Chase suddenly realized when you truly love someone, you don't think of ways to torment them, and you certainly wouldn't let the person you love do those things. In the end, Dana probably never truly loved him. Otherwise, how could she show no heartache over what he was going through? The thoughts surfaced, and Chase felt his eyes sting. He slowly closed them. Afterwards, he saved both videos. He already knew how he could use them. The moment Chase put his phone screen down, Liam called. He answered, and instantly, the loud, chaotic noise of music exploded in his ears. "Chase, you're holding a memorial for Dana. Are you sick?" Liam shouted at the top of his lungs. "I'm warning you. Cancel it immediately or just wait until Dana gets back. You'll be sorry." Chase listened quietly, letting Liam rage on the other end until his voice cracked, never saying a word. He was just thinking when he was frantic and desperate. Were Liam and the others watching him with the same cold detachment? No. Since they could come up with such a vicious plan, they certainly had no sympathy for him. They were probably gathered somewhere laughing at him, running around like a clown, treating his panic as entertainment, like watching monkeys at the zoo. Just like Dana had casually said, she'd show up after he'd nearly gone mad looking for her. They watched him go crazy for 3 months. They watched him transform from a normal man into a shadow of himself, yet remained completely unmoved. Perhaps they didn't have hearts at all. Liam, not getting a response after a long time, finally cursed viciously. "Chase, are you dead or something?" Before Liam could continue his tirade, Chase abruptly and cleanly shut off his phone, pulled a blanket over himself, and curled up on the sofa. This time, it was his turn to watch these people become anxious and lose their composure. That night, Chase slept more soundly and peacefully than he had in months. The next morning, Chase got up, finished his routine, and went straight to the county records office with his ID to finalize Dana's registration cancellation. After that, he headed directly to Liam Taylor's house. He rang the doorbell hard, once, twice. After a long pause, shuffling footsteps could be heard from behind the door. The door opened, revealing Liam in a bathrobe, his hair a mess, the telltale hickeys on his neck glaringly obvious. Seeing Chase, Liam frowned, annoyed. "Chase, what's wrong with you? Why are you here so early?" Chase stared coldly at the marks on his neck, suppressing his anger. I expect you at Dana's memorial. After all, you're a good friend, aren't you? He stressed the words good friend heavily, his tone dripping with sarcasm. Liam was stunned for a moment, then burst out laughing. Chase, you've lost it. Dana is missing, presumed dead, and as her husband, you're rushing to hold a memorial instead of searching. Are you cursing her to death? Looking at Liam's face, Chase's fists involuntarily clenched. If he hadn't known the truth, he might have been fooled by Liam's performance. He recalled the moment Dana's disappearance was announced. He'd fainted on the spot. When he woke up, those so-called best friends had urged him to give up, and Liam had fainted in agreement. But he'd ignored their pleas, hired a search and rescue team in the Cascades, and searched day and night, only to be met with endless disappointment. Thinking of this, Chase's fists tightened further. He wanted nothing more than to tear this hypocritical man to pieces immediately. But he held back, telling himself, not yet. He didn't yet have definitive legal evidence to prove Dana's adultery. Moreover, he had already planned to expose her and Liam's sordid affair in front of everyone at her wake, ensuring their public ruin. Still, he couldn't let this go just yet. Chase stared at the hickey on Liam's neck, a flicker of ruthlessness crossing his eyes. Suddenly, he lunged, shoving Liam aside and barging into the house. Liam, caught off guard, stumbled back, nearly falling. His face changed drastically, his eyes filled with terror and panic. Seeing Chase head toward the bedroom, his heart leaped into his throat, and he rushed after him, shouting, "Chase, what the hell are you doing?" He cut Chase off by stepping in front of him, spreading his arms to block the way. Chase's expression was grim, his pace unbroken. He simply pivoted his feet and walked toward the sofa instead. Liam let out a breath of relief, only to hear Chase say coldly, "Why are you so nervous? Is someone hiding in the bedroom?" The moment the words were out, Liam's face turned instantly ashen, a thin sheen of cold sweat beading on his forehead. He forced a calm demeanor, stammering, "It's broad daylight. Who would I hide? Besides, what does my business have to do with you? Chase, stop being difficult. We're talking about Dana." Oh, Chase lit a cigarette, took a long drag, blew out a smoke ring, and said slowly, "Weren't you the one urging me to give up and stop being a fool? Why are you suddenly unhappy that I'm holding her memorial?" Liam Stumbai's earlier words froze, but he still stood his ground, glaring fiercely at Chase. "I was offering comfort out of kindness before, but you've been searching for so long. Isn't it a shame to just give up now? Keep trying a little longer, just in case you find her." Chase let out a cold laugh, his gaze sharp and piercing as he looked deeply into Liam. "What you're saying sounds like you know exactly where Dana is, and she could appear the moment you say the word." As expected, Liam began sweating profusely again, even shifting uncomfortably on the sofa. He had a nagging feeling Chase knew something. He stared hard into Chase's eyes, trying to read something in them. But Chase's expression was placid, looking more like the dead calm that follows the loss of a loved one. Logically, if Chase had truly discovered the truth, he wouldn't be this composed. He would have caused a massive scene or even resorted to violence. Thinking this, Liam reassured himself that he was overthinking things. After placating himself, Liam gathered his courage and demanded loudly, "Stop talking nonsense. You're her husband, and you don't know where she is." "How could I possibly know?" Chase refused to back down, continuing to provoke him. "Not necessarily. After all, your relationship might be closer than mine and Dana's." The moment the words were spoken, a loud crash echoed from inside the house like a heavy object smashing onto the floor. Liam was startled by the sudden noise and jumped to his feet, instinctively looking toward the bedroom. Before Chase could say another word, Liam started rushing him out. "Maybe it was the cat I adopted. Chase, you're not welcome here. You need to leave." As he spoke, Liam shot Chase another vicious glare. "And Chase, don't pull any more of your useless stunts or Dana will have your hide when she gets back." Chase acted as if he hadn't heard him, just as emotionless as when he'd faced Liam's yelling yesterday. Seeing that he had achieved his goal, he slowly stood up and walked toward the door. Liam slammed the door shut with a loud bang. However, Chase hadn't truly left. He circled around to the back of the house, finding an excellent vantage point where he could hear every sound inside clearly. Soon enough, Dana's voice drifted from inside. When Dana heard Chase say he was giving up the search, she was so agitated she nearly rushed out. But Liam grabbed her and pulled her back. "Dana, if you go out now, it'll be much harder for us to be together later. Are you really willing to abandon me like this? Besides, Chase just visited me. If you show up today, it will only make him more suspicious. Why don't you wait until the memorial service to appear? Show up when he's most heartbroken and give him the biggest surprise. When he gets you back, he'll surely cherish you even more." Clearly, Liam's words swayed Dana, because immediately afterward, the sounds of their intimate encounter could be heard inside. Guessing was one thing, but hearing it firsthand felt like someone pouring sulfuric acid directly on his heart. The dull pain was so crushing he couldn't breathe. He felt like he was dying. The bedroom curtains were tightly drawn, blocking out any view of the scene. But when it came to it, Chase realized he wasn't as strong as he imagined. He had thought he could steel himself to catch them in the act, but at the critical moment his legs felt like they were filled with lead, refusing to move. Moments ago, fueled by revenge, he had gone to provoke Liam, thinking it would be a fatal blow to them. But the other end of that double-edged sword was stabbing him right in the heart simultaneously. This whole ordeal was foolishly counterproductive, inflicting 100 wounds on the enemy while suffering 1,000 himself. What Chase would chase to the bone even more was that Dana, knowing he had stopped looking for her, was still easily manipulated by Liam and refused to show herself. Didn't she ever consider that when a person reaches the absolute depths of despair, they might do anything extreme? He had, in fact, considered taking his own life in a moment of extreme anguish. He genuinely didn't know how he would endure the rest of his life without Dana. Living alone seemed worse than joining her in death. Thinking this, Chase raised a hand and wiped his face, his hand coming away cold. He was ready to give up his life for Dana. Yet the woman inside, engaging in debauchery with another man, seemed heartless, incapable of giving him a shred of true feeling. Reflecting on everything he'd sacrificed for Dana, now reduced to eavesdropping like a degenerate, he wondered what the point was. It was all so damn pointless. Chase took a deep breath, paused the recording, saved the file, and dragged his heavy feet back home. The moment he entered, he began packing frantically, bundling up everything that belonged to him, meticulously not leaving behind a single strand of hair. After finishing, he opened his phone and posted on his social feed a copy of the certificate of death issued by the county records office for Dana. After posting, Chase powered down his phone, grabbed his suitcase, and walked out the door without looking back. He would never set foot in this house again. Chase dared not use his own ID, instead borrowing Alex Reed's to check into a hotel. Meanwhile, Alex had already learned that Dana had faked her death for an affair, and now he shared Chase's mutual disgust for Dana and Liam. Alex enthusiastically volunteered to keep an eye on Dana and Liam, acting like an intelligence agent, feeding all the news to Chase. "Buddy, it's a good thing you turned off your phone, or it'll be ringing off the hook right now," Alex chirped over the phone. "You posted your update only a few minutes ago, and Dana came back to your place. She didn't see you, and she completely lost it. Liam went with her, and Dana slapped him. They had a massive fight, nearly came to blows. Dana mobilized everyone she knew, including her clique of girlfriends, and they are searching the entire city of Seattle for you." Chase listened quietly, his expression indifferent. Dana had been missing for 3 months, and he just wanted to disappear for a few days before her memorial. That wasn't too much to ask, was it? Furthermore, Dana often snuck out late at night for Liam without considering his feelings. When he expressed dissatisfaction, she called him petty. Now, she'd even faked her own death for Liam. How much genuine feeling could she possibly have for him? Even if Chase didn't want to admit it, the facts were before him. He no longer felt any of Dana's love. So even though Dana was now frantic and upset over him, he only found it ironic.